The Niners have had a lot of bad luck with injuries every single year that Kyle Shanahan has been the head coach. I mean, it was an issue in 2019. Luckily, the quarterback didn't get hurt, but a lot of other guys did. And then in 2018, it was awful. Even in 2017, a lot of injuries. And so usually you say, that's just bad luck. Nothing you can do about that. 4 years running, it seems like that if it were just luck, it would have evened out by now. So should the Niners just count on this evening out in year 5? Or are there measures they can take to try to create their own luck here?
I think the biggest thing is stopping taking chances on guys who have a history of injuries. That's the biggest thing they can do. Now, we're all praising them for Verrett, and that has turned out to be a very, very, very good decision. But how many of us rolled our eyes when they first re-signed Verrett? It was like, here we go again. And so they keep taking chances on these guys. I mean, we could list so many examples of guys who have injury histories. And so that's the first thing. I don't know enough about the ins and outs of the front office and things like, do they have a good strength and conditioning coach? I don't know. I think nutrition is a very underrated part of injuries and healing and recovery time from injuries. Do they have good nutrition program? I don't know. But I think these are factors that if I struggled that bad with injuries, I would start to examine and micromanage those little factors that all play a role in injury recovery and injury prevention.
Yeah, that's a tough one. How much does bad luck have to do with it? I'm not sure. I don't know the ins and outs, just like Tony was touching on. Tony's health tips, everything you just provide as far as micromanaging, making sure these guys are staying on top. But one thing I totally agree with is stop taking chances on guys who have the injury history, just like Tony just said. I was a huge advocate all offseason long that they needed to add pass rushing depth, especially on the edge, the speed rush. Because you look at D Ford and Nick Bosa, how could you go into the season counting on Nick Bosa and D Ford? Yes, Nick Bosa played in 16 games last year, but you look at his college history and his high school history. He tore his ACL out of partially torn ACL in high school. So you have to eliminate drafting these high-risk players or signing these high-risk players who have large injury histories. And it's interesting you brought up Verrett because now it looks like he's playing his way towards getting a big contract. Do you want to give a big contract to a guy who has finally put together a healthy season and is playing extremely well? I don't think you should, but some team may be foolish enough to do so. And as we have been spending some time talking about the offseason, that's something to monitor. Will Jason Verrett come back on a 1-year prove-it deal again, just like he did this year, because his sample size of staying healthy is not very good, or will a team be foolish enough to give him a big contract?
I'd say the one thing with some of the injuries were, at least for ACLs, isn't it more just like if it happens, it happens? Same with the Achilles tendons. It's kind of just like if it happens, it happens. Yeah. But the hamstrings and stuff, those are the more preventable ones. But I have no big science background, no medical background, so I'm not the best option for this. But I would just say that it is weird.
Pretend.
Yeah, it's happened a lot, and the drafting definitely that's helped. But a lot of those guys were holdovers from the Harbaugh, Tom Sula, Chip Kelly era, where it's like, and I guess bulky is the common denominator there, where it's just drafting guys that let's get Lattimore when he has no knee, or wasn't it Julian Taylor that missed the first year of his career because he was kind of a project? And just, I'm all for getting guys that can help you right away and also build on that.
You guys are right on. I mean, not drafting injury-prone players is a great place to start. But I think that's what Lynch can do. I think there's something Kyle Shanahan can do as well, and I think he needs to examine this. And I only say this because I covered Jim Harbaugh and my dad covered Bill Walsh, and I know that Jim Harbaugh during training camp would have grueling practices. I mean, 3-hour practices. Kyle's practices are soft. They just are. In training camp, they are as short as possible, about 90 minutes, and there is no live tackling any day. I understand going light during the season. It's a long season. You want to keep your team fresh, and Bill Walsh was famous for having walkthrough practices during the season. But in training camp, to get your team ready for the weekly car crashes that you're going to get, I know that Bill Walsh would have live tackling sessions, not every day, but frequently throughout camp, and Jim Harbaugh too. Not every day, sometimes just goal line, but you need to have, I believe, you need to have live tackling in camp, especially if you're seeing 4 years in a row your players are having issues with contact, collisions. I mean, how many broken bones? How many high ankle sprains? I think they're having an issue with contact. And what Harbaugh would say is he would always use, I don't know if there's any science behind this, but he would say the human body is built for contact. It's built for collisions, unlike a car. The more collisions a human body has, the more of a callus it builds up, and the better it is at withstanding those collisions. And I know that Harbaugh would build up that callus for players if it's a real thing that exists. And I know that Kyle Shanahan doesn't even try because maybe he doesn't think it's a real thing that exists. But 4 years in a row, one of the most injured teams in the league, they got to try something else. And I understand he doesn't want to do live tackling because you want to keep the team healthy, but you're one of the most injured teams anyway. Switch it up. Try something different. And these are things that you think about as a head coach. It's not a coordinator issue. It's a head coach issue. And these are my questions for Kyle. Can you tweak things on this level? Can you help winning in different ways? Can you find ways to win that don't involve your playbook? The grease board. Because it's not always the next gadget play that's going to save you. It's things like this, you know. This isn't an issue that Jim Harbaugh ever had. So maybe you call him up, see what he did. It's not an issue he had. And, you know, Trent Baalke was giving him torn ACL players left and right. Jim Harbaugh still found a way to get his guys on the freaking field.
Graham, let me add this too. Not only are they bringing in players with injury history, but they're also trading away DeForest Buckner, who played, I think, every game or almost every game as a 49er. And you used the movie to re-sign Jimmy Ward, who has an injury history. So they're not doing themselves a lot of favors.
They don't value durability in a sport where everyone says it's the most important ability. Who cares how fast you are if you're never on the field? It's the most important ability, the ability to play football consistently and not get hurt. It's worth money. That's why Fred Warner's going to get a ton of money, because he's good and durable. And the reason that Jimmy's probably going to be gone is because he's good but not durable, and it's not acceptable when you're paying a guy that much.